Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible in all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young and I'm one of your contemplative, thoughtful hosts. Joining me as always is our other contemplative and thoughtful host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always. What's the crack?
What's the crack? So I'm gonna have to bring it to some hard reality that we're facing right now in California.
Oh yeah,
which are the fires in Los Angeles. So I think today is what, Monday? I think on like 4 or 5 days ago. No, 6 days. We're on day 7. Tuesday of last week. Fire started in basically like most of Los Angeles is on fire, and it's devastating. And they basically the largest reservoir. I don't know if you have reservoirs.
Yep.
I don't know what you use them for, but here we use them for things like wildfires.
Yeah.
So those were dry, and most people were trying to keep the fires away from their houses and turn their sprinklers on, which meant that there's no water in any of the fire hydrants. So the firefighters aren't even like trying to plug in to fire hydrants at this point, knowing that there is no water. There's just no water. So they're having to like use these giant scoopers that are pulling like ocean water up and, trying to put the fires out as fast as it can. Today's Monday. I think Wednesday, the winds are supposed to pick up again. We've got they're called the Santa Ana winds, which I think I've talked about a couple times.
Yes.
So it's just devastating. A lot of landmark places, houses that have been lived in for, like old Hollywood. It's just everything is decimated, and seeing people literally having everything. It's like celebrities. Most of them can afford to rebuild, but I know a lot of people that actually had to evacuate. So it's been pretty gnarly. So I just wanted to. A lot of people are asking what they can do to help. It's amazing to see just the amount of support that's coming out from people all over the world, So I just have a website that I wanted to plug. Mm-hmm. It's www.lahsa.org, and that gives you all of the different areas where people need resources right now. And it's like as basic as underwear and, clothing. A lot of people really have just ran out of their houses. You see people being interviewed, days after they're still wearing the same shirt that they wore when they had to flee. So it's been crazy. We also had the same winds came through our area, and so they canceled school and shut the power grid down, and that's to keep all of the fires from not happening, which down in San Diego we're lucky, but we're 2.5 hours south, and it's pretty freaky.
It really is. It's wild to see from a distance, and like I am fortunate the handful of people I know in LA are unaffected, certainly so far. But I know that they are ready in case that the worst does happen, so which I was grateful for. But it's kind of wild, and it's like I think it's hard. People have an idea of what LA is like, but it's like it runs the gamut of all sorts of different people, of all sorts of different situations. Like so there's so many people who there's rich people who can't afford to rebuild, but like you say, there's so many who are suffering and do not have the luxury of that option. So, and I've heard as well that like a lot of insurance companies pulled out of LA because of state restrictions, which is fucking wild, honestly.
Yeah, so in March of 2024, like State Farm, which is one of the biggest insurers, and I'm there are several that did. We actually got dropped.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but Mike was able to find another one. But it's like, I don't know. People are like, well, just don't live there. And it's like, no, it's like you live in Oklahoma, you have tornadoes. You live in Florida, you have hurricanes. You live in Oregon, they're going to have the biggest earthquake that ever happens ever, and a tsunami. Like, it's all going to happen at some point. And like I know in Florida, there's some clause where they can't insure anybody for anything unless they provide homeowners insurance and fire insurance
Oh,
and
really?
hurricane insurance. Yeah. So I think California and other states need to, insurance companies need to do the right thing.
100%. I
So,
mean, like, and it really lays bare how little of a shit. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Insurance company. Like, I mean, the idea of insurance is to protect people, but it's not.
No.
It's there to make
Yes.
money. It's fucking monsters,
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
But
Like
yeah, so.
even the term insurance in the dictionary like doesn't apply anymore. So,
Oh, really? Does it? It's
no,
changed so
no,
completely.
but like really it doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways,
That
to bring
sucks.
everybody down, but it is a real thing that's happening
Uh,
in real time.
It's worth considering,
Yeah,
and
so.
especially because it's in sort of the state that you're calling home these days.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's wild to see from a distance, and like it's very scary. Really, really is. And further illustration of just how kind of I think how out of whack our weather systems are these days, and probably a sign of things to come. Sadly,
Yeah.
But yeah, I like it seems like. Although certainly things are still bad, they're starting to make some headway. Last I was reading,
They're
so I
trying to
hope.
contain, like, they've got, I think 2 days ago we were at 0% containment. Now they've got some containment, but the fear is that the winds are going to pick back up. And, so they're, it's like I still don't know a whole lot about fires in
Yeah.
general, but like, even I was watching an interview where this gentleman was like, most of these homes, they're getting the fires. We have vents in our roofs, and that pulls in air, and that's how the embers are getting into the houses to start the fires.
Wild.
So it's like put something over the vents, so that air. Normally that's just for air circulation, but it's actually what's causing a lot of the different fires. There's also now, of course, like people are like, how are these fires, happening in all these different areas? So they're wondering if there are arsonists that are
Yeah, I've
taking
heard that.
advantage
Yeah.
of that. So I don't know what's true and what's not.
Fucking nuts, like
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's going to be a long rebuild, and it's going to take a
Yeah.
while for this to be contained. And just,
What?
you can do more than
Absolutely
thoughts and
awful.
prayers.
Exactly, in this case.
www.lahsa.org. So,
Yep. Please do
Yep.
if you can.
Yeah.
Absolutely very worthwhile.
what about you, Mr. Young?
Oh God, now I have to give mine.
I
All right. Okay.
know.
So, I mean, like this is the one thing, and it's one thing that really gets to me about. I have friends who are like, wouldn't it be so nice to live in a sunny place like LA? And it's like there's a hard reality to living in places with nice weather, and it often means more extreme weather, or other things like it also means like oftentimes more dangerous animals a lot of the time, and etc. etc.
Yeah.
There's always downsides,
Yeah.
But anyway,
No, like there was one lady that was, it was dark out, and she was giving an interview, and she thought like, she was talking about animals and like the need to put water out, and she thought a dog ran behind her, and like, no, it was a mountain lion. So
not
yeah.
wild.
Yep.
Okay, so for me, I think I might have mentioned this previously. The choir started up a little bit earlier this year, so it started up last week.
Oh, okay.
It was chaos. I was really kind of concerned about this fast turnaround because I kind of knew that it would probably present some sort of logistical problems, but not quite the extent of the problems. So like I essentially 30 minutes before our first rehearsal was due to start, I had one of our kind of committee members calls me and goes, "Are we on tonight?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like,
Nobody knows.
"I'm at the hall," and they've got no idea that you're coming. And
Oh,
it's like,
shoot.
fuck. So
Did they have anybody else in there?
Fortunately, they did. We were very lucky. They had another event, but basically the guy. So like, and I've heard this from other people who work with local councils in Northern Ireland, but like they just don't give a shit a lot of the time.
That's just
so like
government workers.
That's true. That's so true.
The
So,
bar
like,
is
I'd given
low.
this guy, right, and this, I think a lot of people go into this stuff just so that they can not do anything really. Like, I know that's why a lot of people do like government work over here, like get those jobs, civil service jobs. But he had the information 5 weeks ago, didn't send it through, didn't send it to anyone. And so like I spoke to the caretaker and gave him my like list of dates, so he at least has them now and knows when they should be in there. Like, and he's very good, and I built a relationship up with him now. But it sucked, and as a result, I then kind of ran out of the house to try to resolve this and help set up the room in time. Forgot several key elements like the power lead for the electric piano that we need vitally and things like that. And because of, again, the short time frame, we didn't have all the printed copies of the music that we had hoped to have, and it was just a fucking nightmare. So yeah, it got there, but like my head was pounding and like my jaw was aching, and it was like I was like just grinding my, my teeth. But I was doing it in real time. Ordinarily, it's a nighttime activity for me, but I was like, oh no. So yeah,
it's always good when you're again, like and you're like massaging your face.
I'm actually waggling my jaw from left to right, and it's like, this is not good for me. But yeah, I'm having a conversation with them about trying to move away from this position anyway, and I think that has been a good sort of reminder of why I'm considering that. We shall see.
Good.
Easier said than done.
It's
so
true.
We'll see what happens. Also, I went to see Nosferatu since last we spoke.
How was it?
It was horny.
Okay.
It's like.
Is that Nicholas
Holt?
Who I adore.
Lily Rose Depp.
Okay.
Yes, he's great. Lily Rose Depp. William Dafoe. I think they're
Willem Dafoe is just like everywhere.
Oh, he's the best.
I love it. I'm living for it.
Oh, 100%. Give me all the Dafoe you've got. But it was good. But what I thought it was a bit too long. I thought it was visually stunning. I thought it was beautiful. I love the character design. I love the design of Count Orlok. It was so fucking cool. And like genuinely creepy in places. But I thought it was, and I thought all the performances were great too. But I think it just went on a bit too long, and it's a bit of a shame. I think he could do with like an editor or something like that. But I also really love the fact that such weirdo shit is getting a mainstream release as well. So like I'm thrilled that it exists, and I'm thrilled that it's doing as well as it's doing. So yeah, I did enjoy it. It's just kind of I think I enjoyed it more for the visuals and more for the performances really, rather than the complete movie experience, honestly. But
kind of how I feel about Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah,
it's just like so beautiful to watch, but like I wasn't like other than the obvious like amazing, I wasn't all hip to the choices for who they decided to play each character. Like,
oh yeah,
Keanu Reeves is a little like it's like I don't know. Sorry,
yeah,
Keanu.
I love him, but he's not the real kind of subtle sort of actor.
No.
He's not. But I adore him.
Like Keanu Reeves in a period piece, it just doesn't quite like future fine, but like past, I don't know.
They talk about I've heard this term a couple of different times about some actors having you can tell that as a face that's seen an iPhone, and I'm like, that's exactly the way to describe it. Some people have these old faces, right? And Keanu Reeves has definitely seen an iPhone. Yeah. He's got and a surfboard for that matter.
Oh, totally. His best role.
Yes. So like I think that is it's a good way of kind of, but yeah, he's not a good fit, and I think that's not the case here. I think everybody's great in it, But yeah, definitely. I mean, like, again, excited it exists, excited that he has become like almost a mainstream director, but yeah, an interesting experience nonetheless.
Very good. Yeah, I saw just some of the stills. I haven't seen like the coming attractions for it or anything. All I do is go see kids' movies in the movie theater. Wicked. I mean, like, Wicked.
I saw. You may have seen this in that case. I finally watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem last at the weekend as well. It's real good, and it's got like lots of like really fun references as well, like really obscure stuff, like which I adored. Yeah, genuinely good. Like it's kind of got that. animation style from Across the Spider-Verse, those movies, that sort of look to it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, I must say.
I finally saw Godzilla minus one.
Oh, how did you find it?
So good.
Yeah,
Charlie was terrified.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think it's like it's almost like he can handle, I don't know. Like he can handle Deadpool violence, but when it's so realistic.
Yeah.
And we're like, this is actually kind of what it was. And I was like, I finally, because I'm an idiot, right? Like, I think I told you this. I didn't understand the card game Uno.
Okay.
Meant one in Spanish,
yes.
right? Until I was like, I don't know. I was working at a preschool and I was like 22 or something. So I finally put it together that like the United States bombing Japan created this mutant monster.
Yes.
Duh.
Like they kind of make that more explicit.
I'm ashamed to say this.
But like, I mean, it's the same thing, right? And that's what frustrates me about people going, "How did you not know that?" And it's like, oh, maybe because I'm like a different person who's had a different lived experience than you. You know, don't be hard on yourself for not knowing things. It's just you haven't had that knowledge yet.
No,
you know?
And they don't like like it's weird.
No.
They don't teach us those things.
No.
Like they're like, this happened and it was terrible and that's why we never want to repeat this. But it's like it's almost like when it's taught, or at least when it was when I was a kid, it was like so pushed away that it was almost like disassociative teaching. Like this happened, but it was their fault because of Pearl Harbor. It's like, oh my god.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, like, there's a whole like. I think school of of examination in terms of like the impact that the bomb had on all aspects of Japanese culture, and like movies is such a big part, obviously, like in terms of Godzilla, obviously, but even like a lot of animation, a lot of like Miyazaki films and stuff like that are directly influenced by those things. It's pretty interesting.
But then also. I'm trying to remember when King Kong was made in like 1911.
First, yeah.
And so I think part of that was, I think there was obviously there was influence there, and then they ran with that influence.
Yes, I think so. 100%. There definitely was a connection for sure, and I'm sure that was influenced. But yeah. It's kind of interesting, all of that. Like, we probably would never had Godzilla were it not for the terrible thing that happened at the end of World War II.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah. So I think should we move on to what's occurring?
Yes. So.
Do you have any?
I don't really, other than like TikTok may get shut down. So for all of our TikTok followers, I'm not sure when, but it's going through our Supreme Court right now, and they're looking at, like, they're going to outlaw it in the United States. So things may be changing, there.
It's going to be so interesting to see how that all shakes out. But yeah.
Yep.
Fascinating.
Yep. How about you?
So, look, I have a piece of good news. I have an Andy's Down with the Streaks.
Ooh.
I haven't done one in a while. So I just heard one recently, and I want to get it exactly for you. So basically, okay, so the term is, and you need the complete term for this to make sense, is the smoke.
The smoke. Can I guess?
Yeah. Do you want to have a guess?
Yeah.
I wonder. I'm trying to think of a clue I could give you that isn't.
Okay, I'm gonna say it's like smoke show, like the smoke, like they're bringing the good looks.
No. So okay, here's the clue. Here's the clue. So my friend told me what it was. Sorry, my friend gave me the phrase first.
Okay.
How he heard about it. So, and the phrase he heard was, "Okay, this guy really wants the smoke." While playing a video game, for extra context.
Okay, so like this guy really wants to get the crap beat out of him.
Right. Okay. So I'll give you the. Yeah. I think you've definitely got it there. I think.
Okay.
So the smoke is usually the physical fighting power, violence, aggression of your opponent. You don't want this smoke would equal. You don't want to fight me because I will violently overwhelm you. you want the smoke would mean you're really asking for it. You really want to fight.
Wow.
I love it. And so, and this was him. He was watching a Sunflower video game when he was talking about one of the bad guys. Oh, it makes me very happy. So yeah, so the smoke. That's our Andy's Down with the Street this week. Like I don't even know if I'm fully on top of it this week. So am I down with the streets? I am down with the streets.
You are.
Okay, how dare you?
You are. That's right.
How dare you question me?
That's. You just had a circular conversation with yourself there, buddy.
Yeah, with myself.
You
Where
don't
I
even need
accuse
me.
myself. I accuse myself. I got angry with myself, and I had my own back.
That's right.
At least one of my backs. Who knows? We're getting lost here. Okay. Shall we move on to our topic for this week?
Yeah. Which has nothing to do with anything that we've been talking about at all.
No. I know. It's a complete 90-degree flip away from it. Yeah. So our topic this week is about meditation. Our episode is called Meditation in Mind. And
I was thinking meditation station, but that's okay. Like conjunction junction, but
okay.
No, I'll let you fight with me about that later.
Beth and I are gonna have a fight about this off pod.
You don't want the smoke, Andy.
Yeah, I don't want the smoke, and you'll see who the winner was. Whatever you look at the episode. But just, we want to talk a bit about meditation, and I think we've touched on it a little bit in some of our mental health episodes and stuff in the past, but a greater sort of delve into it, just kind of what it means, generally what it means for us, and those sorts of things.
Is someone texting you?
Stop it, goddamn, turn shit off.
It's okay.
People,
Stop being popular.
Oh, I wish.
So, I know, right?
Being in my life.
So there's a lot of different, I did a little deep dive,
Okay.
as I like to do. So there's a lot of different types of meditation that exist, but I think that some of these are definitely ones that can cross over into other types of meditation. Like you could do more than one type at the same time and not even know you're doing it. How awesome is that?
Mm-hmm.
But
that's
yeah,
that's appealing to me. I must say.
Right. So I guess Andy, do you meditate?
No, not through lack of trying.
Yeah.
But I would love a meditation practice. But I've never been able to successfully build one. I would say I have tried a lot, and it just hasn't really worked out for me.
So I would disagree with that.
Okay.
Because I think movement meditation counts.
Yep.
So that is that can be, the obvious thing, which would be yoga, or all anything where you're moving slowly and you're noticing.
Yes.
I'm taking a walk or I'm sitting in a chair.
Yes.
Right? That's literally meditation.
That's a good point. And I think I've definitely got better for that generally in my life. So yeah, that's true.
So I'm just here to pump you up with your meditation and say you're already doing some of this, dude. Yes. So the one that I love movement meditation.
Uh-huh.
I did a lot of Ram Dass reading. Oh, I don't know, 3 years ago. And he does, or he did, he doesn't, he died, but he exists on because he's Ram Dass. But he did, he called it his loving kindness or I'm loving awareness. And that was his mantra that he would say over and over and over. I'm loving awareness. I'm loving awareness. And there's actually, it's called LKM and it's loving kindness meditation. Okay. And it's good vibes. We're just kind of I hope those around me are feeling good. And you send good vibes to yourself and the people around you. Okay. And you think of it as a hug for your mental health and your brain, right?
That's interesting. Yeah, I like that.
So
I think I do some of that a little bit because I don't think I always did that, but I think in recent years of my life I have definitely got closer to that place.
Mm-hmm. Have you? I guess what are areas that keep you from being able to meditate, do you think?
Um, so it's just generally my fucking brain won't shut up. I mean, it just won't fucking stop. It's like I think I've described it as like. I think remember like a Simpsons episode where there's all these clowns like constantly coming out of the car and they were like stuffed in. There was arms and legs everywhere and like they popped out every now and again. That feels like it's my brain, just a bunch of fucking clowns.
You've got a clown car for a brain.
Going, spitting out various shit all the time. Not even like always negative stuff, but like also just like, oh shit, do you have? I was like teaching yoga this afternoon, and my brain went, you're doing yoga cover sometime soon, and I was like, oh fuck, when is that? Is that this week? Oh god, what have we done? I didn't check, and I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, get that leg back in. Get that leg back in.
Yeah, and I was like, oh shit, how long have I stopped talking for? Has it been forever? I don't think it ever is really too long if I do stop talking, and I think it's probably good to have a bit of space in yoga in terms of giving instructions anyway, so hopefully it's not too bad.
Do you find when you're teaching yoga like that you get the same benefits as when you're doing yoga by yourself, or do you not?
I don't think so. I mean, I definitely get some of it because I like do the practice while I'm talking about it, which is honestly a lot. And I also am not breathing properly, so I know that like some of my former teachers would shout at me for doing yoga without the proper breath work,
or doing yoga at all while you're teaching.
Yes, also true. Yes, both of those things.
Little known fact for those who are listening: the training that we received in Costa Rica, you're supposed to be able to just tell people what they're supposed to be doing, and then kind of walk around and adjust people's bodies as you're teaching. But it's harder than it's harder than it sounds.
And it's also creates, it is very, because like everybody hears things differently and everybody has a different definition. Like I know language is so imperfect.
I think culturally too.
Movement.
Like I don't know if like Northern Irish culture where people are like cool if you're like, all right, I'm gonna adjust your.
This is also very true. Yeah. Like, I mean, like that. I mean, like for those things generally in Northern Irish culture. Also, I am oftentimes a male teacher teaching a mostly female class, and I'm not going to just go around and randomly touch female members of my class at all. There's not a chance I'll do that. So like it creates. So I think under the circumstances that I teach, it's the best thing because I think a lot of people are better visually at seeing what posture that should look like, and a lot of people, and I think having both of those things is really valuable, and I think it served me quite well in terms of feedback and stuff I've got. Like I often say to people who are planning to start off yoga is that I really feel that you need to find a teacher that you vibe with anyway. So it's not going to work for everyone, but
it's like
it seems to work
finding a therapist
for most. Yes,
I agree. So there's also spiritual meditation, which a lot of people do. So spiritual meditation, it's like focusing. It's like prayer, basically.
Yep.
So like focusing on connecting with like a higher power, or something with like religious meaning. And so I think people that pray, that are like I don't meditate, but they pray. I think that is obviously. Like people talk about the power of prayer, and I think if we think about loving kindness meditation and sending out positive vibes like that, I do believe in the power of that.
Yes, as do I, and I think that like even more broadly than that, like I feel like I think it's anything that allows you to get outside of your own head for a bit, and I've like talked about why I really love video games, and like how the level of engagement I have both mentally and physically, because I'm having to perform actions can really kind of help me like just get away from that mind space for a period of time. And I think it's definitely the closest to a control meditation that I have probably in my life,
I'm going to be totally honest and to say that I can't really meditate right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can't.
But you've been.
I can't. Like when I went,
I'm not. Yeah, I'm saying that in the
yeah,
past.
I
Yeah, I know you've
have
been
been
able
able
to.
to. And like, I
Yeah.
just can't, even with like training in transcendental meditation, I
Yep.
cannot get back into it. And like, I think I've talked about how I have like physical reactions to any
Yep.
type of like chanting or meditation where I get like lightheaded and then I want to like vomit. So
Yeah.
weird. It's so weird. I get hot. And so obviously, you know, either that's not something my body wants to do or there's some like blockage that I need to work through, but I just don't want to, I don't have the energy to do that shit, honestly.
Well, this is exactly it, and it's also kind of like about realizing, oh, maybe now is not the time when it's going to be working out for me, and maybe I'll get back to it later on in my life.
Yeah.
Has it has it always been the case with the chanting meditation and stuff like that? You've got hot and you feel like throwing up, or has that changed?
I mean, I didn't really start chanting meditation until Costa Rica.
Okay.
Um,
Right.
and I've done like a, what do they call it? A kirtan?
Oh yeah, Kirtan. I really want to do a Kirtan.
And I've
Mm-hmm.
done that, and I had the same like physical like reaction where I was like leaning against my friend that I was with and like not feeling well, and I would kind of come in and out of it, and I was sitting down,
Yeah.
so that was good, but like I literally need to like lay horizontally. And like I remember in our training, our friend looked at me while we were doing our chanting and was like, "You don't look good. You need to lay down." And I was like, I think I'm
Yes.
gonna pass out. Um, so I do think that like obviously it's got, you know, powerful benefits or
Yeah.
powerful, I don't know, benefits for me necessarily, but like there's a lot of power there, and I think
Yeah.
um, I want to understand it more
Yeah.
if I'm gonna continue with it.
It's kind of about like finding a safe way for you to access it, really, a way that kind of is valuable to you, but not
Yeah, that
like
doesn't make
yeah,
me want to horf, right?
yeah,
Which is the American word for vomit.
yeah, yeah. I
So
like it. Uh, I don't think you remember. Like I fucking that was my favorite one by
was
far.
it
And
really?
after, yeah, because like afterwards I was
Were you high?
I was on a high. Because like I can obviously be chatty at times, but I can also be quite quiet at times, as you know. But like I was just like chatting so much to people. I was singing at people afterwards when we had dinner and things like that. So I was like fully, yeah, it just really got to me. It speaks to like, how important that chakra is to me. I think.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember which chakra we were? Was it a root chakra that we
Uh
were
huh.
working? Do you remember? Because we did like an activity for each chakra.
Yes, we
Was it
did.
all the chakras that we were working on, or was it?
We did. No, no, no. We did. We went down. So we did like an activity for each of the chakras, but I can't.
I don't
That was
remember.
the throat chakra. That one, I think.
You're right.
Wasn't there? Isn't there a
Of
throat
course,
chakra?
of
Yeah,
course
I'm
it
pretty
was.
certain it was.
Of course it was.
Um, but I don't think I could tell you what all of the others were. I could maybe work through it if I really thought about it, but I
Yeah.
can't think off the top of my head.
No, it's okay. So there's also like mantra meditation, which we did a little bit in our training, and that's just like repeating a sacred word or phrase and focusing
Mm-hmm.
the mind, and that's supposed to promote relaxation. Um, there are so many mantras. There are like thousands of mantras, so and each one has a different meaning. So I didn't go too far into that, but that is another way that you can meditate. So
Yeah, I. It's so alluring, I must say. Like,
mm.
I freaking, I kind of wish that I could access it more easily than I could. But like you say, it's just maybe about maybe kind of resetting what my expectations are from meditation as well.
I have a friend who did a silent meditation retreat for like
Mm-hmm.
7 days, where you go with a
Mm-hmm.
group of people and you are silent and you meditate for 7 days. And I was like, how was it? And they were like, it was so amazing. And like, even though you're not speaking to each other, you still feel like a real connection. even though you're not able to talk while you're sharing meals, you really do feel a connection with people. And like,
Interesting.
I don't know, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine trying to go to a silent meditation retreat with me and not being able to talk? I don't think I could. At
Yeah.
least with you, I couldn't do it.
Like I think, yeah, and I mean, it's interesting because I'm kind of weighing it up myself here as we're talking about it, and I think that like despite the fact that like I'm often keen not to talk, I think if the option was completely removed, I would feel, I don't know, I would struggle with it
I
at
would try
least
and break
anyway.
break all the rules. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, like, similar to our YTT, it was multiple rules broken. But yeah, um, I I don't know if I told you before about a so we have a variety of different sort of Buddhist centers in
I
Belfast,
didn't know that.
and I was kind of surprised to hear it, but it was my friend kind of, and this was some time ago. This was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And my friend was like, they are having a guided meditation weekend. If you want to go, and I'm like, sure, let's go. And you just stuck around, and basically like I mean, they did one on a Friday, one on a Saturday, and they basically did 30-minute long sort of meditations. Some were guided, some were silent, and just sitting in a room filled with people. And at first, like I'd say the first few, I was like, okay, I'm in it. But like after doing a lot of that and taking breaks in between the day, I really kind of struggled with it. Um, but it was cool, kind of to. I mean, it's always I always find it fascinating to see, um, the inside of like a Buddhist center and things like that.
Totally, totally.
So it was cool from that point of view. But yeah, it was maybe just too much, and the format wasn't quite there for me. Yeah, but it was interesting. It was an interesting experience nonetheless.
It it's interesting. I was reading an article about Tibetan monks and
Mm-hmm.
the high rate of diabetes that they have,
Okay.
uh, and like high blood pressure. Even
Uh huh.
though so much of their life is dedicated to meditation and you know loving awareness and all of those things,
Yep.
and it's almost and again, this is like one article that I read, so please forgive me if I'm overstepping here, but just the correlation between, you know, pushing out loving kindness and awareness, and, you know, then also the damage that can do to your body
Yeah.
was very interesting to me.
That is
I
interesting.
know. And I'm not saying meditation is bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just like, I guess it's always interesting like where these conversations start to go
I know.
with whatever we sometimes we end up in a place where I'm like, wow, I never, thought about
Yes,
that. But
but
like it's not always beneficial, I guess.
no, I agree, and I think yeah, too much of a good thing is too much, and it's like, it's not something I know an awful lot about, but I would say that there is a cost to living a life like that. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
mean, I don't say that there would be any way that there wouldn't be. And like I think that it seems, you know, it's envious kind of thinking about the discipline that would be required for that, but also I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if it would, you know, make me happy or content or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether I've got the correct mindset for it, but it is it's very much something like that's religion. I was having interesting conversations with friends about religion recently, and he's like, fairly anti all sort of organized religion, and I which I completely understand, and an opinion I respect, but like, Buddhism, as far as like a lot of the other religions go, ain't so bad as far as I'm
I
concerned.
agree. I agree. I was this is so off topic, but on topic.
Go
I
for it.
was watching a documentary about they're called the West Memphis Three,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and these three three boys. Basically, they were all teenagers. I don't think maybe one of them was over 18. Were accused of killing. I think there were three little boys,
Yep.
and basically it was in the United States. We had this. It's like in the 80s, early 90s. It was like late 80s, where there was hysteria around Satanism, and like
Yeah.
everyone was really excited to blame, anything random on the Satanists, And so
Yes.
these three high schoolers got in trouble because they listened to Metallica, and they all got sentenced to life in prison and death row. And so one of the men who was sentenced, the teenagers who was sentenced, his name's Damien Eccles, and I was reading. He's written some books about his experience, and he spent somewhere between like 6 and 8 hours. Well, he was in solitary confinement for like years.
Okay. Wow.
Years.
Intense.
Like 8 years in solitary, right? And he spent about 6 to 8 hours every day meditating. And he's like, I would have killed myself if it wasn't for this practice. Yep. And I put all of my energy into, focusing on my mind, and that really like saved me. I'm still having a hard time. He was interviewed, on some talk show, and he was just talking about, what solitary confinement does to you, but also like
Yep.
how meditation provided him with a structure where, he wasn't going, it'll drive you insane when you're by yourself for that many
Absolutely.
hours and years and all of that. So I just thought that was interesting that,
It's
I,
it's so fucked up, honestly, to could do that to somebody.
oh yeah,
Like, I mean, absolutely brutal. It's interesting. There was and I talked a bit before in the podcast about a comic book author who I really enjoy called Ed Brubaker, and he did a recent book called Houses of the Unholy, which was about that very thing, and it was a fictionalized version of that idea. This lady who later on in life has become I think probably a private investigator. I can't remember. She finds missing people, at least anyway. Oh, no. I think what she was involved with was she found kids who were in cults and rescued them from cults, essentially. But her background was that she was one of these kids who was a member of this satanic six that said that all these like counselors and like from the summer camp they went to were involved in like satanic practice and things like that. And it's her kind of like, as an adult, processing that and going, at that age, like, you don't know, like she was like, I don't know whether I was told that, I don't know whether there was a ringleader that told me that, and her trying to like parse reality from this fiction that like consumed so much of her young life. And it was a very interesting sort of like subject to explore. It's nuts, completely nuts.
Mm-hmm. Cults, man.
Right. I know, it's a whole other one. I mean, we're doing an episode on that, we'll probably get in trouble, right?
I don't know. Well, depends on like what your definition of. Yeah, I think most things are cults, but.
This is actually very, very true. It's just some are more insidious than others. There is like one of the I think I've banged on to you about watching a show called How To with John Wilson before.
Yes.
And in that show, he essentially takes a topic and he just kind of like follows wee pathway, and he kind of sees what like wee diversions kind of take him down different directions. Anyway, in one like completely unconnected episode, he was talking about how he was in like an a cappella group, and they were performing in a contest, and the thing about his shows is that he obsessively videos everything, so he has all this footage like, and he uses that to kind of put together, like, create his shows in this kind of DIY way. But they performed as part of this a cappella like larger competition, and he kind of only realized in later years that it was actually run by Nixium.
I do. Yeah. The cult that likes to brand people.
Yeah.
And
it just like, it comes out of nowhere. It was so fast. It was like, you're like, whoa, holy fuck. So like very it's just such a kind of wild reveal. That's just really good for that in terms of just like he just kind of drops things on you and you're just like, whoa,
Whoa.
what the hell? Yeah. But yeah, yeah, cults, they're fucking nuts.
So, to bring us back to our topic, I did find
Yep.
one type of meditation that I think could be beneficial for you.
Okay.
So this is called progressive meditation or
Mm-hmm.
progressive relaxation meditation. So
Okay.
basically, you can just do this while you're listening to like a podcast in bed or like watching a show
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. It's probably they would probably tell you not to do that, but I like to multitask. So you basically just like tense one muscle group at a time
Mm-hmm.
and then relax it. So like you're like, all right, tense up my shoulders, tense, 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 relax, and then you move your way down your body, like tense my face,
Oh, okay.
right?
This sounds familiar. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I think that because it's more physical and it's less in your head
Yeah.
and it has similar benefits, I think that you should try it and report back.
I like that one. It's a nice idea, actually. Yeah, I think I need that. I think I need that connection to the real
I mean, you're
world
already
because
doing
like
it with your jaw.
it's true.
So,
It's like unclamp jaw, Andrew.
uh
Do it now.
huh. And then it could
Yeah,
be
that's a
like,
good one.
that was progressive relaxation. Yay, me.
Yeah, I'm so enlightened. I know. Sorry, I'm on the pathway to enlightenment.
Right,
Sorry,
right,
everybody.
right.
Okay, I know that I will never get there, but I gotta keep striving for that path.
Striving for it.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that's good. Like because I do, I would love one, and I think it would probably do me wonders. Honestly, just as a way to. I'm always talking about like decluttering my life in ways, and then just fucking cluttering it in different different ways afterwards.
Yeah.
So I think. A concerted effort to like declutter my brain would be really helpful in terms of like decluttering my life as well.
I I also think I think decluttering is also a meditation. I decluttered my bathroom this
Yeah,
weekend because
nice.
I spilled something everywhere and I was like, oh fuck, I gotta deal with this, right? And, like get
Yeah.
everything, all the bottles and tubes of whatever, and like throw them all in the sink. It's the stuff I use on my hair, and it's like I have dreadlocks, and so it's really oily. It's like puts oil back into the hair.
Yep.
Because dreadlocks can get really dry, and it got
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. And I like pulled everything out, cleaned it, decluttered, felt good about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is like creating space in my brain for other things. This is creating space in my bathroom for more shit to throw in the into the drawers,
Yeah, this is true.
right? But like, I think that as a like you were talking about doing that with your bedroom, I think,
Yes.
and like how
I
good that felt.
yeah.
And I think that's
Like I think I get I really am trying a lot to like make things usable. I just kind of and it's also just helpful for me because like my brain, like I need to like have a place that things live. If I
yeah.
it just sends me nuts otherwise completely.
It's just
So yeah.
it's also it's like movement meditation.
Yes, exactly.
So
Exactly right. Yes, I like it.
so
Mhm.
so basically like I think the easiest one. That's not true. The one that sounds easiest but isn't is mindfulness meditation,
Mm-hmm.
which is the one I think I struggle with the most, other than chanting.
It's the purely like just being quiet, breathe in, and then just sitting there and letting
It's
whatever wash over you.
it's just like whatever. It's like you slow down your racing thoughts. You throw the clowns out of your car, right?
Yes.
Let go of the. Okay, I'm gonna read that. I'm gonna read this. Mindfulness
Okay.
meditation is a mental training practice that teaches you to slow down racing thoughts, let go of negativity, and calm both your mind and body. It combines meditation with the practice of mindfulness, which can be defined as a mental state that involves being fully focused on the now, so you could acknowledge and accept your thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment. It's
Okay.
so fucking hard.
Yeah, that's wildly
It's like you
difficult.
teaching yoga and then being like, wait, what am I teaching next? Right? Like,
Yeah.
you could have just been like, no, focus on the neo
It
Andy. But like, to control that is, for me, like almost impossible.
one of the things I remember, I can't remember who it was, but whenever I was being taught meditation, possibly at that retreat that I was talking about earlier, one of the useful pieces of advice is advice that I was given was that these thoughts will come. There's almost no way to completely
Yeah.
shut them out, and
Yeah.
it's just like about having them and releasing them rather than going, I'm trying to be mindful. What is this thought doing here? And getting angry about it, because that doesn't do any good in terms of your like mind state, in terms of relaxment. It's just kind of like, so like these thoughts do come, but take them, release them, and just kind of try to get back into it.
And I guess one of the types that I have had success with, especially, you know, well, one of is guided meditation. Like if you just want
Yeah.
an easy way to kind of dip your toe in, is
Yes.
to have someone talk to you in your head, and just tell you what to think and what to feel. And there are guided meditations for everything.
It's true.
They're like,
And there's yeah.
it's Tuesday, here's your guided meditation because it's Tuesday and today starts with a T, right? And like,
Yes. And I think there's some really good apps and stuff for it. And I'm also kind of thinking that if people want to, like, say for example, send us $1,000,
yeah,
we can record us doing a guided meditation
uh-huh,
for you.
uh-huh, about Teenage Mutant
So
Ninja Turtles.
yeah, or like whatever your topic of choice is. But it's $1,000.
The West
is
Memphis
your,
3.
yeah, the West Memphis 3, but just in a really calm, soothing voice. So just let us know. But our basement is $1,000 and up.
Yep.
And we can
Yep.
we can tailor one for you.
I like it. It.
Okay, perfect.
Maybe people are already using this as meditation.
It's quite possible. Yeah, you sickos. Maniacs. I love it. Do you have anything else on meditation?
I just always I talk about transcendental meditation all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That is the one that's been most successful. It's 15 or 20 minutes in the morning, 15 or 20 minutes at night. You go and get trained, and it's just awesome.
Yeah,
it's awesome. And
that's also the one.
Wish I could do it right now, but I can't.
Yeah, it's also the one that David Lynch does, and everybody knows he is cool as hell, and tranquil as fuck, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, probably.
No, and they've done all the science. I don't know why transcendental meditation got all the funding for all the research, but all the research says that it's they've put a lot of time and energy and effort into figuring out exactly what it does, and it's the equivalent of taking a 3-hour nap.
Okay.
Yeah. So just in terms of it at a cellular level, it's regenerating and resting, and you hit that REM sleep state, but you're awake.
Cycle.
It's kind of crazy. But I also wonder,
oh,
with all these other types of meditations, I'm sure that the science is there too if people cared to look. So, so if anyone wants to fund that science and research, first help fund us, but then move on there.
Yes.
It would be good.
Send us a message to Bandy and say, send us money, and we'll get on it.
Right.
I love it.
Yep.
Okay. In that case, shall we move on to our final wee section? Beth, what has been bringing you joy this week?
So every year around this time, I start watching all of the movies that will probably be on the Oscars list for Best Picture.
Okay.
I love this time of year. I will spend all the money to rent or I typically don't really like seeing movies in the movie theater because I like to be able to pee whenever I want to. I really just want a seat that I can pee in, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure they exist, but
That's a business idea.
it is. So, but I started Conclave last night,
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
and I'm only halfway through, but I love it.
Okay.
I love it. I love, because I know nothing about Vatican City,
Yeah.
but every time the Pope dies and there's a new Pope, I'm always like, did the white cloud puff of smoke come up today? Like, did they, like,
Yeah.
what is the, like, what is a conclave? And they're all sequestered and the whole thing, and they go into it, and it's so interesting because I know nothing and I'm so unreligious. Like, it's just it's I love this shit, man.
I really enjoy Conclave too, but like I really, once you finish that, I'm really be interested to hear what your interpretation of the ending is, and not the like. There is a kind of sort of important thing I'll say without talking too much, like that happens at the end. But then there's a final wee section, and I was just kind of like, huh, and I didn't really, I wasn't sure. I still haven't fully kind of processed what the meaning behind it was. Though I heard an interpretation recently that made a bit of sense.
Was it the director talking about Megyn Kelly being mad about how it's not Christian enough or something?
Oh, I have not heard that. No. You know, one of the things that I thought, there's a guy who has hopefully shown up that I thought for sure was Jean Reno, but it's not. It's an Italian actor who just looks a bit like him. So yeah.
Okay, so Megyn Kelly got mad. She said there's a twist at the end. She's saying it's anti-Catholic. And the director said, I would quote the whole message, of which is about the church always having a spiritual core, because to me that is the very central Catholic idea that I was brought up with. I stand by it, he said. So I don't know if that helps you.
But she's like another freaking right-wing ghoul, isn't she? Yeah, she is.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
But she's had her own, I mean, so she had her own she got canceled for some,
oh, did she?
by her own people. And they made a movie about it. I don't know.
I mean, like, they all freaking eat each other.
They do. They eat their own.
A lot of the time. Yeah, they really do.
Anybody that's like
cool.
doing anything in like politics, or talking about politics, they're just eating their own. They
will slash your throat in a second if it gives them like an inch more.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever.
Yes.
Fuck them all.
Yeah. So I love this time of year. If you have recommendations for movies that I need to see that are probably going to be up for Best Picture, that's the one I really
I'll
like.
have to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we think The Substance is probably going to be up for it as well, right?
Which one?
The Substances, I think, is going to be up for it.
I hope so.
Already.
Yeah, and I'm glad that Demi Moore won a Gold Globe.
Yep. Yeah, I'll be interested.
Did you see that was her first award she's ever won? Did we talk about this already? And I was
we
like,
talked about this
heck?
last week,
Okay,
but it's ridiculous.
I know.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Truly insane.
What?
I'll almost check and see what else is there.
Okay.
How
about you? What's bringing you joy?
Okay, so I'm almost certainly going to butcher the name because I've been doing it constantly recently. So, one of the reasons why I love, the movies, talking about the movies, the movie theater that I love in the US, the Alamo Draft House,
I know.
is that...
Is it still there?
Yes, it is. Okay. Oh, God, that's a good question. It's in downtown. I think it's pretty far from
okay.
where the fires were, so I think it is. So, like, and there's a handful of them across the US anyway, but what I really love about that theater in particular is that, and again, this applies to all of them, whenever you go in, they don't really have trailers. They have some movie trailers, but it tends to be stuff they have. They don't have adverts. Instead, what they have is, like... whenever I remember going to see Everything Everywhere All at Once, and they had interviews with like some of the cast, and they had clips from some of their movies and them talking about their career and things like that. It's much more fun stuff. But the last time when I was in and I went to see the SNL movie, what they had was a load of like music videos and stuff. And one of the music videos they played was by a band called, and I may butcher this, but it's Rondo Veneziano, and they are a Italian band from the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, who did like modern orchestral pieces with like a guitar, rhythm section, drums, and they made like so it was a bit of a mixture between like the traditional orchestra sound and kind of modern music, but like they had a variety of different sort of like things they did on stage. But one of the things that they did was they wore like traditional like powdered wigs and like outfits from like the 18th, 19th century.
Fabulous.
But then had like robot masks on.
Wow.
And it was like a very much like, and it was like such a clear, and like one of the videos I saw in particular, you could clearly see the influence of this group on Daft Punk and things like that. And it was like, it was just like finding this whole world that I had never come across before. And I kind of love, I've been really enjoying dipping into their back catalogue because there's not many bands, certainly that I'm aware of, that are doing this sort of thing, or so like it's such a cool kind of sound to listen to. But yeah, so I definitely recommend the one song that I loved and the one that I really kind of turned me on to them was called La Serenissima, which is it means the most serene, and it was a way that they used to describe the Republic of Venice.
Ooh.
So yeah, I still love that song. And so Rondo Veneziano and La Serenissima is the song. I definitely recommend people check it out. Though I've got to say, I've recommended it to a number of different people and everybody's been fairly nonplussed about it, but I love it. So maybe it'll work for you out there at home.
That's what matters.
Exactly.
But
yeah, I think that's us for now, isn't it? Or do we have do you have anything else? Can you let people know where they can find us?
Please find us at bendypodcast.com. And I'll put the link up for donations for the Los Angeles fires up on the website as well. So please check that out. And yeah, send loving kindness to the folks of LA and wish me luck on Wednesdays when the winds hit us here. So yay for the future.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. All right, folks. In that case, as always, we'd like to remind you to We're really going for it. Bendy. The longest ever in solidarity.
Whistle tones like Ariana Grande.
Hell yeah.
All right, love you
All
guys.
right, we love
bye,
you.
bye, bye, bye.